So this morning, some of you were able to be with us while Esther did a really wonderful music forum downstairs in the chapel. And even if you weren't, I will give you the briefest summary. Basically, what she talked about was the way that music is holistically good for us, that it does good things for our bodies, for our souls, for our spirits, that it fills us with joy, that it does things in our brains like releases endorphins and chemicals that make us feel good. Music is good for us. And I think we probably experientially, even if you didn't hear her presentation or know the science and the research behind it, experientially, we can probably affirm that, right? We feel it in our bodies. We feel that joy that music brings to us. And so having Sarah start this morning, having Esther's Music Forum, I wanted to think a little bit about the combination of music and joy. Because as we heard Kent introduce last week, our annual theme this year is now more than ever. And then each month we'll be exploring a different idea or topic, something we feel that we need now more than ever. Grant us, O God, now more than ever, the joy that sustains our lives. The verse that Kent just read from 2 Timothy, as we talked over the summer as a staff, became sort of our theme scripture. And it doesn't contain the exact phrase, now more than ever. You might have noticed that. But it inspired us as we thought about this idea. Because in 2 Timothy, we hear the words, we hear the proclamation that God stood with me. That's what the words say. God stood with me in the times of difficulty, and I was strengthened. And as we talked as a staff this summer, we thought about the world in which we live, and if ever there were times that felt difficult and fraught and filled, maybe wearying. These are some of those times. And we thought, now more than ever, we as God's people, we need to feel God standing with us. We know God is. But oh God, let us feel it now more than ever, strengthening us, standing with us. Now more than ever, we need that joy that sustains our lives. Music is one of those things, one of those universal things that brings that joy that helps to sustain our lives. Sacred music does it, whether it's contemporary or hymnody, but we can find music all around us out in the world. We hear it on the radio, we sing it ourselves in our cars. Maybe I do that, I don't know about you. We hear our friends, we hear our children, we hear it in schools, we hear it in workplaces. Music touches us. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said that music will help dissolve our perplexities. Music helps dissolve our perplexities, those things that worry and burden us. That music, he said, can help to purify our character and our sensibilities, and that in times of care and sorrow, music can keep a fountain of joy alive within us. Music can keep a fountain of joy alive within us. Now more than ever, isn't a fountain of joy alive within you what you crave? I think keeping that fountain of joy alive doesn't mean ignoring what's going on, what's difficult or hard, the needs and the cares of the world, but to prepare ourselves to meet those needs in love. That fountain of joy, alive within each one of us, can help to sustain us, but it can also help to connect us. So I want to invite a friend to come up and help me sort of get into this sermon, thinking about music. So Maisie, will you come up and help me? So Maisie is going to help start this sermon with a song. And Maisie and I are going to sing it one time through, right? But then we'd like all of you to sing with us. And it's a song you're going to know, so don't worry. And we've got your dad on music right over here. Yeah. Are you feeling ready? Uh-huh. Yeah. Should we say hit it, Dad? Should I say it? Yeah. Hit it, Dad.
Sing along with me, Jimmy. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
Okay, now all of us, right?
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
Good job, Maisie. Did you want to go back with Mommy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is my niece Nora, if you don't recognize who this is. She was called forth by the music. So thank you to Maisie for helping me to sing. You know, Maisie sang that song at the Labor Day Weekend Family Conference. They have a talent show, and Maisie sang that song, and I saw the video of her singing, and then as I was thinking about this sermon about joy and having joy like a fountain, I thought, what better way to remind ourselves to plug into that sense of joy than to let a child lead us in song and to sing with her. So then if you know me, once another child walked down the aisle, I was like, now I'm just going to cry for the rest of the sermon. And you know, as I practiced with Maisie this morning, I thought, after you sing this song together like this and you think about the joy rising up, that's the sermon. You just all had the sermon, but I'll add a little bit more. I want to add a little bit more because I think what we need to think together about is what that Isaiah scripture draws forth, the other scripture that Kent read this morning. In that Isaiah passage, we hear the prophet Isaiah, that sometimes that passage is called the first song of Isaiah. It's lyrical. It's poetry. It probably was originally written to be sung. And we hear the prophet Isaiah saying, "Cry aloud, inhabitants of Zion. Proclaim your joy, because the great one in your midst is indeed the Holy One of Israel. The scripture harkens back to the great things that God has done. It connects into the Exodus story, the leading forth of God's people to be free. And that's a story that has a direct historical tie, and yet there is a way that every single day, every one of us, all of us, God's people, are yearning to be led forth into that freedom. The freedom to be who we are. The freedom to love one another fully and deeply. The freedom to come together and build up a reign of peace and joy and justice. The freedom from oppression. The freedom from judgment. The freedom from worry. The freedom from burden. And we are calling out and hoping and praying and working together to continue that movement towards God's freedom, that God might lead us yet into this promised land as we work together. That scripture that Kent read actually fills me with joy always because it is set to music. It's a song that I sang a lot here as a child in choir. And so I actually have a hard time when I hear it read not wanting to sing it. And I don't know, maybe if you were watching, you could maybe tell that I was actually singing a little bit to myself as Kent was reading. So if you've been around here for a while, you might remember the first song of Isaiah sung by the children's choir because it was like a big affair. It involved handbells, it involved an upright bass, but only for 4 notes. It's kind of a fascinating thing, right? The 4 notes were just bum, 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 bum. That was it. But it was a big deal. But the song version of that first song of Isaiah, it evokes for me what Isaiah was talking about, that joy that he was plugging into and encouraging the people to live out. When we sang the song, the most coveted part was the handbell part because the words in the song were, "Ring out your joy." And the handbell part went like this, "Ring out your joy." That was it. But that's what everyone wanted to do. That was the best part. But not just because it was fun or because it sounded great, it was joyful. When I think about it now, it makes us smile as I think about it because to think about children just shaking those handbells, it's joyful. Cry aloud, inhabitants of Zion, and ring out and sing out and proclaim your joy because the great one in your midst is the Holy One of Israel. That's still true for us. That connection to our loving, sustaining God, a God who leads us forward to justice, a God who leads us forward to peace, a God who invites us to see one another fully and deeply and truly is still in our midst. And when that is true, that fountain of joy can be ignited within us. And when the fountain of joy is ignited within us, then we can connect with one another more deeply, more fully. Because that sense of joy, that desire for joy, those flashes of joy, celebration, they're sort of universal experience. We all know what that feels like in our body. So I was curious this week to hear from some other people about what things brought them joy. And so some of you responded to my little research question, and I'm going to share some of the responses I got because every one of us, every one of you, is already a great theologian. And so I got some great responses from some great theologians right in our midst, and I'm going to share them with you. And I want you to, as you hear these answers to the question, what simple things in life bring you joy, and what are the profound moments that bring you joy? But listen for those things that resonate with you. Because I wonder if by the end, every one of us will have recognized some common threads, those common experiences that resonate with us. So here are some words from some favorite local theologians, names not attached. I did have permission to share, though. This may seem obvious. At least I hope it's a popular answer, but small acts of kindness for both friends and strangers can give me the best feeling in the world. Sometimes when I'm walking around in the wild, aka out in public, I see people who might need a little help. And sometimes it's easy for me to immediately jump into action mode and assist them. But lots of times I skip a beat and try to consider whether my help will actually make their lives better. Maybe they're trying to prove themselves and want to know that they can do something on their own. And I will come off as patronizing, or they think I might not have good intentions, or maybe it just scares them that I, a stranger, approach them. Or maybe they just really don't want to talk to anyone that day. But often when I decide not to do something and walk away, I have a strange nagging in my head that I should have gone back. I don't always. But when I do and realize that my help was useful, it fills me. I have carried groceries, suitcases, and strollers downstairs. I have held babies in waiting rooms and helped young children to go to the bathroom when their fathers were waiting outside. I have given directions to lost-looking people. I have chased down owners of lost items on the subway. I have spent 60 seconds of my life doing what felt like a menial task for a stranger, but finding that it brings me greater joy than anything else I did with my day. Here's another one. For overwhelming joy, most of it comes from taking a step back and realizing how wonderful life is. About a month and a half ago, I think I started, pursuing what I wanted. Or maybe it was just trying drastically new things, putting myself in new situations. So I'm basically always going back and forth, adventuring, teeming with excitement for whatever might be the next greatest decision of my summer. I try to be super honest with myself and to be vulnerable and to be exposed not just to the exciting parts of life, but the challenging parts of life, to feel it all. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, maybe because I've been crying like all the time, but it's because I'm so happy that I have the chance to experience the real ups and downs and shared experiences of life. Here's another. Videos of cats and dogs being friends, but if you try to pin that on me, I will deny it. When my 18-month-old will not stop talking as I'm trying to get her settled down for bed, and she's just spouting random things, and I almost can't take it anymore, and oh my goodness, just go to sleep, stop talking. And then I realize that she's actually trying her absolute best to make conversation with me like she's seen grown-ups in her life do. It's just everything she knows about is just parts of my face and the reactions that I'm making and the fact that I'm wearing a shirt or a necklace and the fact that her room has a crib, a bear, a wall, a bottle. In her little world, everything is new, and she's trying to share it with me. And then I remember that, and I melt. Finding a spot in the Hannah School parking lot at pickup. I can vouch for that one. It's not mine, but that will fill you with joy. Small things, late afternoon raking light, the shadows cast by a fire escape, seeing the world upside down in a puddle. Small things like waking up to freshly brewed coffee, having remembered to set the automatic brew function on the night before. Or when you're at the airport or train station and you see friends and couples reuniting for a long time and can see how happy they are to see each other again. Sitting silently in nature brings me great joy. It opens my eyes and all my senses to the magic and wonder around me, making me appreciate the beauty of being a living being together on this planet with so many other living beings. I was just thinking about this, said someone else, as I was watching my dog fill with such intense joy as he got ready for his walk, that it filled me with joy. He gets 2 walks a day and yet still gets so excited about each one. Witnessing that brought me joy and makes me want to appreciate the small moments and find those small moments more. Small things. So many things that Finn does. Hugs and kisses, sense of humor, telling stories, how animated he can be, driving with the windows down and a great song on the radio, walking in the woods, thunderstorms, getting together with friends, time to myself to do what I want and not doing things that need to get done. Good food, preferably if I didn't make it myself. Probably so many other things. Also the scent of piney trees, freshly laundered sheets, and coffee. When the 5 of us are in New Hampshire and there is no Wi-Fi, and I'm not driving around to 3 times the activities, and we have mandatory family hikes and are just together. Extra joy if extended family is there, and in winter there is a snowmobile trail that can be peaceful. You can't see the sky. You are in a cocoon of pine trees covered with snow, and it's beautiful and quiet, except for the snowmobile. What brings me joy is falling asleep quickly when I'm really tired, watching humans walk their dogs and seeing that the dogs think this is clearly the best thing ever. Or, here's one. Feeling deeply connected to the people around me, especially my family. Feeling deeply connected to nature, to my body, to God. Specifically, I feel connected and at peace and joy when there is a cat purring on my lap, or reading a good book, fuzzy socks on my feet on a cold morning, paddling in a kayak, the smell of the ocean, time for myself, a hike in the woods, camping, quiet moments, being unbusy, the lyrics of songs that resonate, acoustic guitar music, listening to the Beatles, creating a snowstorm that makes us slow down, random dance parties in my house. I especially love the moments that I can just stop and observe the world around me and find joy as I watch others. And this one, sitting around a dining room table for hours with family and friends, or singing hymns in the car with friends on our drive home. That's just a small sampling of what people wrote and shared and poured forth from those fountains of joy that are within them. The fountains that keep them going, that remind them of their connections to one another and to God. And so I'm curious, as you listened, as you heard those stories, if you would just raise your hand, if there was anything that resonated with you, a moment that you thought, that's for me too. That brings me joy too. Yeah. One of the responses, someone just wrote, "I'm so glad." This is the woman I went to college with, and we don't stay in touch except in Facebook world. But she wrote, "I'm so glad this popped up on my news feed.